Bradford City Football Club is a professional football team based in Bradford, England, which were founded in 1903. Following their formation, they took over the Stadium Valley Parade from Manningham Rugby Football Union and played their first home game against Gainsborough Trinity Football Club on the 5th of September 1903, which drew a crowd of 11,000 supporters. Initially, the stadium had a capacity of 20,000, but after securing a promotion in 1908, club officials sanctioned an upgrade which was completed by 1911. The upgrade upped the capacity to 40,000 and included a main stand which seated 5,300 fans and further room for 7,000 standing spectators. Moving forward to 1985, there had been minor changes to some parts of the ground, but the main stand had remained unaltered over the years. This was a concern for many, as they were in dire need of improvement. Football ground writer Simon English warned the club that the litter beneath the stand had to be removed. It had built up over time due to a gap between the seats. The same year, a county council engineer wrote a letter to the club saying that the problems had to be rectified as soon as possible. He claimed that a carelessly discarded cigarette could give rise to a fire risk. The 1984 to 1985 season proved to be very successful for Bradford City as they went on a 13-game winning streak and found themselves on the top of the Division 3 table. They maintained this momentum, and after a 2-0 win over Bolton Wanderers, they were assured the championship title and a promotion to Division 2, which they hadn't been in since 1937. As a result, Bradford City were to be presented the trophy on the final game of the season. The final game of the season happened on the 11th of May 1985, where Bradford faced mid-table side Lincoln City. According to a local paper, due to the success Bradford was having, plans to improve the stadium were to take place after the final game of the season, ready for their stint in Division 2. The trophy was presented to Bradford City in front of 11,076 supporters. Because this was the first piece of silverware the club had won for 56 years, there had been double the supporters in the ground than there usually was. After the trophy had been presented, the game got underway. The match kicked off at 3:04 p.m. 40 minutes had gone by when neither team managed to score. According to the fans, the game was boring with neither team looking threatening. 5 minutes before half-time at 3:44 p.m, commentator John Helm noticed a glowing light emitting from the back of Block G. This was a sign of a fire. Helm described the start of the fire in an interview to the Express newspaper. He claimed, "A man over from Australia visiting his son got 2 tickets to the game. He lit a cigarette, and when it was coming to an end he put it down onto the floorboard and tried to put his foot on it to put it out. It slipped through a hole in the floorboard. 1 minute later he saw a small plume of smoke, so he poured his coffee on it and so did his son. It seemed to put it out, but after a minute or so there was suddenly a bigger plume of smoke, so they went to get a steward. By the time they got back, the whole thing had taken off." The fire rapidly escalated. Emergency services were called, the police started to evacuate the stand, and referee Norman Glover stopped the game 3 minutes before half-time. It wasn't long before the fire spread to the wooden stands and the roof. One of the horrified onlookers told the BBC, "It spread like a flash. I've never seen anything like it. The smoke was choking and you couldn't breathe." The roof started to crumble and burning timber fell onto the seating below where the horrified crowd were. Thick smoke then engulfed behind the stand where the spectators had been trying to escape. It took 4 minutes for the entire stand to be cloaked in flames. Many of the exits were shut, which led to one door being smashed down by 3 of the fans, which helped many escape. Elsewhere, men threw children over the wall to help them escape, and many fans ran onto the pitch, where they were safe. The people who had escaped the fire then began to help their fellow supporters and assist the police. The fire brigade arrived within 4 minutes, but unfortunately at this point, many of the stand had been consumed with flames and smoke. As people still needed rescuing, they couldn't start fighting the source of the fire until they had got everyone out. The fire had destroyed their stand completely, leaving 56 people dead, many as a result of the smoke they inhaled. The victims of the fire included 54 Bradford fans and 2 Lincoln fans. Half of who died were either under the age of 20 or over the age of 70, with the oldest victim being the club's former chairman Sam Firth, who died aged 86. A further 256 people were injured. Due to the events unfolding on national TV, the event received major media attention from around the world. In July 1985, a memorial service was held in the sunny shadow of a burnt-out Valley Parade. 6,000 people attended. Bradford City went on to do well in Division 2, only missing out on promotion by a few points. Whilst the stadium was being redeveloped, they played their games in neighbouring grounds. The same, however, could not be said for Lincoln City, who went on to suffer 2 successive relegations. The inquiry into the disaster was known as the Popplewell Inquiry and was chaired by Sir Oliver Popplewell. The inquiry found that the club had been warned numerous times about the rubbish underneath the stadium, but failed to act. The fire was caused by the accumulation of litter and the discarded cigarette. The inquiry led to the introduction of new legislation to improve the safety of football grounds in the UK. It also led to the closure of wooden stands deemed unsafe and the banning of smoking in wooden stands. The same year, an inquest was held into the deaths. Speaking at the close of the case, the judge said, "The club were at fault. No one in authority seemed to have appreciated the fire hazard. No one gave it the attention it ought to have received. The fact is that no one person was concerned with the safety of the premises." At the centre of the case were the letters sent warning the club about what could happen. Compensation was rewarded to 154 claimants, with the first payment being made in 1988, with 40 of the survivors receiving up to £40,000 each. Calls for a further inquiry were declined by the IPCC in 2016. To this day, the Bradford City Stadium Fire remains the worst stadium fire in English history. I just wanted to say a few words after this one. I wanted to do this one because it was really interesting, but also due to what's going on with football at the moment with the controversy around the Super League. I'm a Liverpool fan, and I was disgusted when we had been put forward as one of the teams that were going to break away into this league. It's shameful, really. It really is. Football was made by the poor and was stolen by the rich. Luckily, at the time of recording this, I've just received news that we've pulled out as well as every other team, and that's great, but it shouldn't have even got to this place in the first place, because this is now damage control because of the massive backlash it rightly deceived. A league without competition and based solely on money is not any league that I would want my team to be a part in. Luckily, it looks like all these teams are pulled out now, so it won't be going ahead. Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words on that because I was mad about it over the last week or so. Yeah, cheers for watching.